Well, I made a couple of bad decisions today, and I was just flat out wrong. And yeah, there you have it. Had a red day today, unfortunately, but hey, it is what it is. You're going to lose sometimes in trading, and today was one of those days. Unfortunately, I took a couple extra trades. I didn't adhere to my if the first loss is a full loss or basically a bigger loss, to just stop trading for the day. I did not adhere to that because I thought I saw another setup, and I did have a decent setup, and just I was wrong. So let's dive into it. Fellow traders, it's Black Coffee Trader. Today is Thursday, August the 21st, and kind of doing a daily wrap up here, a recap on the day. So the trades I took was on the Dow Jones. You can see this kind of big green area, which is around the 840s to the 800s, the 44,840 to 44,800. This is a big level that I've been watching for quite some time. We've had a lot of reactions going back all the way to the latter part of June at this level, and as of late we've been holding above it. And even with this bigger sell-off we had on the NASDAQ, what was this, 2 days ago, we had this big move to the downside. That did not occur in the same fashion on the NASDAQ. What happened on the NASDAQ, we moved up higher. In fact, I had a winning trade that day, and then we dipped down, and we've held at this 800 level. And so I was looking for that to hold. And this morning, and also in the back of my mind, was if we fail below it, we're probably going to see downside. And that was what triggered my first trade this morning. And so you can see this big level. The pre-market, in the overnight session, we just kind of trickled slowly down to that level, and then we opened the market below, or right about the low of day from yesterday is about where we opened the market. And a little bit of a crazy day, the way the day ended up. And you can see the delta, the order flow delta was pushing up strongly this morning, but we had a pretty heavy move to the downside. And we dipped down below, pushed back up, and when we got to this point and we started testing the overnight low and testing this 44,800, I thought, man, I've got to take this short. And I took the short. The mistake was I'm completely okay with taking this trade. I really, truly am. This is a good setup. It's a typical break and retest setup. I was a little bit concerned with the order flow delta pushing higher. That did concern me, and that was maybe the thing to watch out for. But the mistake I made is typically before I enter into a trade, I know where I want to set my stop loss. And I had not made that decision prior to getting in the trade. I was vacillating between, should I set the stop above this wick, right above the 805s, or do I set the stop right above the 840s? And I felt like this should have been my stop loss, but I elected to, after I was in the trade, to leave the stop all the way up here and give me more wiggle room. And that was a mistake. And I could have saved myself about another $80 on this trade per account had I left my stop down here, where if we break through this low area, the trade's invalidated, which is really what happened. And instead of taking that, accepting that loss and getting out, I had my stop up here, and I just didn't close the trade. You get into a losing position, and then you start hoping it's going to reverse, and it's never a good sign. It's never good. And in hindsight, that was a big mistake on my part, was just not to cut the trade and accept the loss and get out of that trade with like about maybe $100 loss instead of $180 loss. So that was the losing trade there. That was the mismanagement. I'm okay with the setup. I'm okay taking it. But that was in hindsight what I did completely wrong. I then saw this fantastic retest of the 842s, and I thought, all right, well, since we failed here, we've pushed higher, we're retesting, there's a good chance we go higher. And as this trade was setting up, I went long, had the stop a little bit too tight, maybe got stopped out, unfortunately, and it pushed right back up. So I decided to get back in on the third trade. So I took a $60 loss there, which I should not have taken. And then I really felt like, if this is going to be a true break and retest, we should be able to get out at these highs. And so that's where I set my first profit target at, basically 90 points, you could say, on the Dow Jones. I had my first target at 90. And I could have got out of there with some profit, probably about $45-50 in profit here per account. Would have been, made back almost all of this loss. Would have been close to the 180, but I decided to just hold. I was like, either we're going to get a move here, or this is just going to fail. And ultimately, it ended up failing and took me out there. And then we wicked through, and then we pushed up and did make that high, and then we've dipped down, and we just really went sideways. It ended up being a pretty nasty just no direction, complete consolidation, really from about lunchtime on, which is not really a big surprise. That seems to be kind of a general trend. So, you know, I was just wrong. I'm not that upset with the trade, to be honest with you. You know, you could argue I shouldn't have gotten back in, or should have left my stop a little bit wider on this first one. Probably should have sized down a little bit. I did size down on the second entry there, but you know, there were some mistakes made. I think the bigger one, the biggest mistake really was just not adhering to this. I realized in my mind's eye that if we break this area, we're breaking above this low from the overnight session, and it's time to get out of the trade. And that's really what I should have done. So that's a big fail on me. $80 per account. I've got 9 accounts, 9/8. That's $720. And so instead of having a $2,600 loss, if I take these two trades, we end up with about a $1,900 loss. And so we don't have that big of a loss on the day. So that's the mistake I made there. Looking at TradeZella, let's just pull that up here. This is today, if this thing can load. No winners, a couple losing trades. And, we're losing the week now. So we've been winning the week. We put the week back in the loss mode, 879, which is not bad. If I have a decent one good trade tomorrow, $100 per account, we'll be winning the week. And that's really what I'm focused on. I'm not going to push it. I really want to take a good setup tomorrow if I can find it, but that's what we're looking for. And looking at the weekly number, let's take a look here at some weekly stuff this week. So for this week, down 878, 23% win rate, very low win rate. What have I've had 2 winning trades and 4, 5, 6, 7 losing trades. So, but even with only a 23% win rate, we're only down 800 because of the win-loss. This is something I've really been working on and finally getting a little bit better at it. There's always days where it's not that way, but average loss this week was $64. Average win was 160. So that's the positive. And it's just one of those things where you can't hang your hat on one day or a couple of days. You have to hang your hat on a week or a month or whatever. So again, the goal is to get back tomorrow, have a green day tomorrow, and hopefully win the week. And then we enter into the last week of the month. So, and if we have a red day tomorrow, if it's red, if first trade's red, I got to get out. I got to just get out and accept that we lost the week again. And it is what it is. So that's the mentality, and that's where we're at. Eval front, I didn't have a great day. I was green on all the accounts this morning. I was trading the NASDAQ this morning, kind of in and out, and had a nice green day going, and then decided that I needed to get a little bit I've talked about this before. I wanted to get aggressive with these 150Ks because they are rebuilding soon, and I either wanted to pass them or blow them. Well, I did end up blowing them today. I went in with minis with a lot of size. Ended up blowing those accounts. I think this 50K is stopped out with QuantGuard because it broke the $1,000 loss on the day. So that account is still alive. This one here, I think, is blown. I don't know for sure. I didn't check Rhythmic. This drawdown was not correct anyway, but I think this one's blown. But this group of 50Ks, we made a little bit. It was a break-even day, $20 basically. They had them up and down, and really ended up break even. But we're still at 52,000 on those accounts, so we need about $1,000 there. And on the take profit accounts, we had a little $75, $80 day, so we're above $1,000 in profit. Have our drawdown intact. So those are really the ones I wanted to babysit. Is this group. And these take profits. So I'm probably not going to buy more 150Ks until Apex comes out with another 90% off sale. So we're going to just focus on trying to get the rest of these passed and trying to get these take profit accounts across the finish line. So that's the plan there. But yeah, red day today, and it is what it is. Some crazy, like I said, after lunchtime, we went into some just not good price action, very up down. Even these moves here, they're not huge, but 23,180 to the 23,222. So you've got a sizable little move up down, enough where if you're in with some size on minis, it's definitely going to hurt you. And that's really what happened on my evals on those 150Ks I was in. I think this was the area where I really made the mistakes on. So but anyway, that is that. We'll see what happens tomorrow. NASDAQ definitely sideways day. ES is definitely sideways. Really, all the markets pretty much sideways. Interesting to see what the Dow Jones does with this 800 level, which we'll take a look at it tomorrow, and we'll see where we're at. So I think there's something else I wanted to talk about, and right now I can't remember what it was. So I guess we'll leave it. I guess last but not least, just again, thanks for following along. Appreciate you guys, and hey, hope you guys had a green day today, and we'll catch up with you on the next one. So take care, and so long.